BXB. It's in the game!
Hey guys, it's me Ben, back with another one of my quick video reviews, and this time I'm looking at the juggernaut, the never-ending franchise that is FIFA 19 by EA Sports, out now on all the major platforms, as you would expect, as it's frankly that time of year for football. And I apologise a little bit, this is a bit later than I originally intended. I've been sick, and you might still hear that in my voice, but don't let that hamper my enjoyment or your enjoyment of what is a really good instalment of FIFA this year. And I'll say this, that I was inspired by England's fantastically unexpected run at the World Cup, and it got me back into football a little bit. I've actually been looking at, some of the Championship League stuff, some of the Premier League stuff, some European football, some even international football that I wouldn't normally have perused or taken part within watching, because I'm a lapsed football fan. Back in the 90s, which is when I kind of grew up and was really into the sport, I was obviously a big Manchester United fan. To be honest, who wasn't really back then, with the likes of Eric Cantona, Ryan Giggs and Peter Schmeichel and other massive luminaries of the sport such as that. Of course, Man U at the time, led by Alex Ferguson. And what this made me want to do in one of the cornerstones of FIFA 19 was play my club league experience in the game as Man U, and do stuff with the transfer windows to bring some of those amazing England players into my squad so I could relive some of those highlights from what was a really great World Cup this year. Now, I wanted to say all that a little bit about my football interest because I want to make it clear I'm not a FIFA expert. I know the sport pretty well, I understand the rules, and I understand some of the current players and stuff like that. And I play FIFA most years, if not all years, on this current generation of hardware. However, I'm not an expert, and I'm not looking at FIFA 19 here from that perspective. What I'm looking at it as I'm looking at the kind of the three cornerstones, the three tenets of the FIFA experience, which is the league, season play, which is ultimate team, and which is the story mode, the journey. Obviously right now what you're looking at on the screen is me going through the league mode where I'm playing as Manchester United. I really got into the transfer machinations this time. There's sort of like an FMV, well not FMV because it's not full version video, but it's definitely a cutscene that takes you through transfer negotiations, and I found it really engaging and interesting actually delving into the financial sort of penalties and the financial sort of rewards that players can be given and can demand in those transfer negotiations. And it feels very true to the sport. Many people would argue that there's a lot of money now involved with football, a lot more than there should perhaps be, and the players do get ridiculous signing bonuses and goal bonuses and things like that in the real sport, and that is reflected in the experience within FIFA. I think what we'll find here with FIFA in general this year is that it's even more accessible than it ever has been before, at least in this current generation. The gameplay itself is arcadey, it's accessible and fun, it's exciting to play. It's not overly difficult. I found myself having to actually increase the difficulty level as I played through this a bit due to my previous experiences with the game. And then I actually really enjoyed an element of FIFA this year that I haven't really delved into a great deal in the past because of how heavily it's microtransaction, and that is Ultimate Team. I found myself getting sucked into this. First of all, I found the onboarding for the experience really accessible and pleasant, and it took me through things in a way that tutorialized it in ways that made it simple for me to understand and grasp the concept of Ultimate Team. I bet that's frustrating for people that have been doing it for the year upon year now that Ultimate Team has existed, but for me I found it incredibly helpful, and I actually kind of get the experience better than I ever have before. I could see myself sinking some serious time into Ultimate Team. The actual game of football to be had within Ultimate Team is obviously very varied because of the different lineups that you can have in your squad of historical, international, well-known and obscure players. Everybody is represented in Ultimate Team. You never know what you're going to get out of those packs. Of course, you can buy Ultimate Team packs, but that's really the only place that microtransactions show themselves within the FIFA experience. Now, another big important part that is prevalent within these two modes is multiplayer. Now, I'm not a big multiplayer gamer on FIFA purely because I know I'm going to get beat, and I'm going to get beat bad, and I know I'm going to get beat embarrassingly and a lot. And that's just not how I play this game. But to be honest, there's still plenty to be done, even not playing multiplayer. And that's also now very prevalent and easy to access within Ultimate Team, which it maybe hasn't been as much in the past. Now that brings us on to the final cornerstone of the FIFA experience this year, and that's the Journey Story Mode. Now this really got me excited. I played it a lot in the first year it came out a couple of years ago. I didn't play it really at all in last year's instalment, but I've come back to it in this year's instalment. And this continues the kind of Hunter legacy, as it were. And you're no longer just playing as Alex Hunter, but you're playing as his sister, Kim Hunter, and you're playing as his friend, whose name I've already forgotten. And basically his friends in the Premier League, Alex is kind of going to icon status in the European teams, the big franchise teams, and his sister is trying to break into the international squad in America. And I thought that was easily the most interesting facet of this experience. I found it really cool that sort of female football, that women's football was represented so fully in FIFA 19. I really liked her story as this up-and-comer who's wanting to break into the international squad and prove what she's worth. And I think it's great to see that represented in such a big way on the big screen, as it were. That is FIFA 19. I really enjoyed my time with FIFA this year. Like I said, the football is incredibly accessible. I keep using that word because it does feel like the onboarding process has been so smoothed out now within the FIFA experience that you can just basically, you've watched the World Cup, you've had your interest piqued again in football. Now is a great time to pick up the premier experience in video game form of that great classic British sport. And yeah, FIFA 19 does it wonderfully. It's so much fun to play. You can, like I said, play the football that you've seen on TV. So the big bicycle kick volleys are accessible, the signature celebrations are easy to pull off, the cross sweeping plays, the fast break football, that's all here. And it's really fun to play every facet of the game. I think it's a very, very good example of FIFA this year. I'm loving it. I'm going to keep going back to it. I'm going to play more as Man U. I'm going to play more of the story mode. Well, to be honest, I've already finished the story mode. I might go back and play it again. That's how enjoyable it was, picking some of the different decisions that you can pick as you go through the story. And just really get into it. I'm going to get into Ultimate Team. Man, I never thought I'd say that, but it's really fun to do. And maybe when it comes around to looking at FIFA 2020 next year, I might well be that expert that can talk about the minutiae of the Ultimate Team makeups and how things are shaking out with the different sort of probabilities of picking the cards that you really want to get in that transfer market. So yeah, that's my brief rambling overview of FIFA 19. I really enjoyed it this year, so because of that, purely because of that, and I think it's a great example on this generation of the sport. It looks fantastic. The presentation is 100% TV accurate. The inclusions and negotiations make the sport feel just as realistic as it does in real life. So because of all of these brilliant improvements that we've seen this year, I'm going to give FIFA 19 4 out of 5 stars.
BXB. It's in the game.